Welcome to episode 2 of CK2 Bitesized with me, your host Charlotte from CnC Gaming Factory. In this episode, we will be talking about character traits. Now, the thing about Crusader Kings 2 is that pretty much nothing is set in stone, so your traits can change. So if you ever start a game with a horrible character, don't despair, you can always improve on him. I'm using the ruler designer here just to give you an overview of the traits that are in the game. Just to give you an idea. So first off, we have the health traits. They are represented by a red heart, and they generally give you some kind of negative effect on your health. So for example, if you have the Great Pox, then you have a lot of negative effects, as you can tell. Negative to martial, intrigue, diplomacy, stewardship, and learning. Minus 20% fertility and minus 2 health. Now, if you have minus 2 health, this is actually not a modifier you see in game, but if you have negative 2, everybody starts off with a base 5 health, and the closer that gets to 1, the more likely you are to die. It's like a random number generator, and it kind of gets rolled, I think, every day or something for your character, depending on. Then you have the purple hearts. They are traits that you can inherit. They are genetic, and these are the negative ones, the ones with the purple heart. And like, for example, if you're a hunchback, then you get -1 to martial, plus the opposite sex will not find you attractive. I know there is some gaming going on where they, for example, make themselves hunchback in the ruler designer to be able to pick up better stats. That's a choice. Then you also have the positive inherit traits, such as genius and quick and attractive. And of course, they will give you good things, like genius is a very great one to have. It gets +5 to every stat. And people are also more attracted to geniuses. They get a plus to diplomacy skill. Up here, we also have various statuses in life, I guess you could call these. For example, a legitimate bastard, they will always get a negative to diplomacy. If you're excommunicated, you get negative to diplomacy, as well as people have the option to attack you. Kinslayer and so forth. You also have the events traits, I guess you could call them, where, for example, a person has been on a jihad, or in this case, the Crusader. And they will give you benefits. Like, for example, Crusader will give you +2 to martial. Plus, you will have a bonus of opinion with other people who are also Crusaders. That's a good one to have if you can get it, and you plan to play as a Catholic. Then you have the lifestyle traits. These are the traits where you generally get an event pop up saying, do you want to, it's an event chain most of the time where you end up choosing some kind of hobby. And these hobbies can give you plus the different stats depending on the event chain that you get. And of course, they're all positive to have. Not everybody ends up with them, though. It might not. Your character might not be one of them. Then you have the 7 deadly sins traits. Just like with any trait, the negatives will be looked upon negatively by your vassals and your liege, especially if they have the opposite trait. So, for example, if you are lustful and your liege is chaste, he will get a negative opinion modifier of you because you are the opposite of what he is. Generally, it's not a huge issue, except if you, for example, have a very known one is the ambitious one. If you are ambitious, which is a great trait to have, and your liege is also ambitious, those two are actually going to clash because he doesn't want you being ambitious. And the same goes for your vassals. If they are ambitious, they will not like you because they are ambitious and they want your position. But yeah, so there are the 7 deadly sin traits. Let's see if I can remember them. Lustful, gluttonous, greedy, slothful, envious, wrath, proud. I see that they got turned around here. But basically, they also have their positive counterparts, which your vassals will like if you have those. And then you have other traits that, you know, add into the wholeness of your character. And they are things like, you know, brave or craven, and gregarious and shy. They are the opposites of each other, and they again have negative and positive, you know, attributes that go with them. Now, just because you don't have them doesn't mean that you can't get them. There are events in game that you can do, and that will just get triggered to make you get these traits. So as I said in the beginning, if you start out with an absolutely terrible character, have faith, it can all be fixed. Well, at least a large part. Now these are the some of the Muslim traits. They are the Mujahid is the opposite of the Crusader. So they have been on a jihad against the Catholics generally. And then the Hajj, they're the ones that are going on a pilgrimage to Mecca. And these are, I believe, if I remember correctly, they're basically not so much traits that have any stats. As you can see, they're both 0. But people will look up to you if they are of the same trait, if they have the same traits. So if they're all descendants of the Prophet Muhammad's uncles, you know, then they will, you know, if you're both that, then they will like you better for that. And same with Mirza. Scarred is a trait you actually get after you have been wounded. So that's generally not needed to take in here, because generally you're going to get wounded in the game. And here we have the Berserker and Viking traits. They are for the Norse characters. And they again give positive and negative. Like, do you want to become a Berserker? Yes, it is +4 martial, but it's also -2 diplomacy. But that one you don't have a choice. That I believe. At least I didn't last time I got it. So yeah, those are the traits, and the traits can make transitioning from your character to the next character a lot easier if you have the right traits, and having the wrong traits can make it much more difficult. But as I said, everything can be fixed. Well, a lot of it can be fixed through events. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope you join me in the next episode. Thank you.